Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, National Sales Manager for Bona Adhesives.
I'm Rob Johnson from Bona Training.
Got it right.
How we doing?
I'm good. You were over modulating there for a while.
I was a modulation on that one.
Very good.
We're learning a lot today, aren't we?
Yes, sir. All right, Rob. Before we get started, have you or a loved one ever lived on Camp Lejeune between the years of 1957 and 1987? If so, you might be eligible for compensation.
I've been trying to figure out a way that we might have done a bowling alley there or something like that. I'd love to get into some of that Lejeune money, but
I think it's the attorneys
that was
that are
a
getting
stretch. Yeah.
You know what I think we're going to hear one day, Rob? I think one day we're going to hear, did you or your family members live on LVP floors between the years of 1995 and 2025?
I am so glad you said that because that was part of what I was going to rant about today.
Holy smokes.
Exactly that. That is exactly what I think is going to happen with this stuff.
This must be like people that really, really understood the effects of smoking back in the 50s when they were just pushing it on everybody, kids and women, and there'd be women in movies pregnant smoking. You remember the old movies where everybody was smoking all the time?
Oh, gotcha.
And there was people that surely knew that this was like so wrong. The study came out recently how harmful it is when it's exposed to children that lived on homes with LVP type plastic floors. And the amount of high levels of toxins and everything that's in their blood system. It's atrocious.
I swear that is exactly what's going to happen too. There's going to be some lawsuits with this stuff. And you're going to see it all over TV, just like that Camp Lejeune stuff. I guarantee it.
You know, Rob, these vinyl floors are made with some of the most toxic man-made substance ever created. I mean, that is shocking to me. They're known to cause exposing humans and pets to the risk of asthma, cancer, kidney, lung, and even reproductive health problems. And they're putting out miles and miles of this. Imagine living in a home that's closed up as tight as these homes are, and having this in the house with kids running around in it. It's shocking to me. You know, it's a great marketing phrase to say luxury vinyl plank floors.
You know why they say luxury vinyl plank? Do you know why they call it that?
Well, it's a whole lot easier.
You don't know why, because
yes, I do. You want me to answer that?
Because people aren't going to buy a polyvinyl chloride floor. That's why.
You were afraid I was going to have the answer to that.
That's why I jumped in.
So you powered through.
I have to say something today.
Yes. Well, I'm waiting for something, anything.
Hey, let me tell you a little cautionary tale here. I was where was I last week? I was in Alabama, and we did some training at a distributor there, and I was absolutely blown away. This was a wood floor distributor. I was blown away by, I would say, 70, 80% of the stock in that warehouse was LVP and not wood. I mean, the day that I thought that, wood there'd be more LVP than wood, I never thought that would ever happen, ever. I was shocked. And even when the guy was packing up, the warehouse manager was packing up an order, and I walked over and he had a bunch of it on a skid and he was wrapping it up, and I said, man, this is sad. Didn't say anything. All I said was, this is sad, and I tapped on the box, and he goes, it's absolutely heartbreaking. But that's not my tale. My tale is what happened to my family with the same kind of product, okay? For years and years, I sanded, and I know anybody's listening to this show, they know that I've said this stuff before, but I sanded and recoated floors or bowling alleys that my great grandfather built. And that was, 4 generations still maintaining the bowling alleys that he built all around New England and New York. And it was a whole generational thing. Like I said, I mean, that business was there forever. And then in the mid 80s, they started bringing out a synthetic bowling lane. Okay. And it wasn't people that were in the bowling business that brought it out. It wasn't people that were building wood lanes or anything like that. It was brought out by a different type of company. Actually, 3M was one of the companies that brought it out. And everybody started tearing out the wood lanes and putting in these synthetic lanes because there's no maintenance, there's no upkeep. You don't have to do anything to them. No more sanding, no more recoating. But we were the dummies who were installing it. We were cutting our own, we cut our own throats.
Killing yourselves.
We killed ourselves with this stuff. And when I looked around that warehouse, I just thought the same thing could happen. Once you start installing this stuff. And here's what else we found out about, these, lifetime lanes, they used to call them, right? That's it. You put these in. Well, guess what? They weren't a lifetime lane. They had their own set of issues and everything. And, a lot of them ended up getting ripped out and replaced and stuff like that. So I think that's the other thing people aren't understanding about these LVP floors is there's a very short lifespan with this.
Yeah.
You're 10 years.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The short, it's really a kind of a short-sighted deal for the homeowner, because it is a short lifespan compared to hardwood floors that, wife and I had lunch today in the Hill Springs Inn that's 190 years old. And they're the original floors.
Oh.
And, back then it was probably linseed and beeswax.
Right.
And they look stunning today. They look stunning.
190 years old.
190 years old.
That's amazing.
And you put direct sunlight on these floors, or and they talk about being waterproof, and it's really it's laughable almost to hear that expression, because we're seeing so many issues of mold that's growing underneath these things that don't allow they don't allow the moisture to pass through, and so and then the manufacturers are telling you to put plastic down. Well, you want to make mold, put it in a dark area, put plastic down, a little bit of dirt or whatever that on the slab or the wood subfloor, and it's a great way to make mold.
Have you ever heard of Lou Migliore? I know
Lou?
I've mentioned it before.
He played for the Yankees.
No, not that Lou Migliore. No, Lou Migliore. I'm surprised you haven't seen him because he does a lot of workshops and stuff at conventions, flooring conventions and everything. He works for, it's his company, LGM and Associates. They're commercial floor inspectors. But not only do they inspect the floors, but they come up with the answers, what to do, how to fix these things. And I went to one of his seminars one time, and it was supposed to be on all different types of flooring. He spent the entire seminar just talking about the LVP. It is completely taken over his business as far as ceramic, tile, wood, all this stuff in commercial applications. He said this stuff is the worst, and it's actually blown up the fastest out of anything that he's ever seen. Number one thing that they're finding and like I said, he's commercial. The number one issue they're finding with this is exactly what you just said, mold.
Mm-hmm.
Mold is the absolute number one. And he said,
Yeah.
Now the people that keep telling everybody that they're waterproof, he goes, the difference is like a waterproof watch and a water resistant watch. He goes, they're water resistant. They are not waterproof. He said, These things blow up just like a wood floor, but they don't come back like a wood floor does.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. The world is quickly becoming overpopulated with this stuff in the dumps. and this stuff doesn't break down like other things. So we're polluting the landfill with these products, and there's millions and millions of square feet of it. And look, a lot of this is coming from countries that it's not regulated and what have you, and they're happy to sell it to us over here. But man, if there's anything I've ever seen in my life that's so short-sighted as one of these floors, and when you could have a sustainable, a lifetime floor that adds actual value to a home that has such a long lifespan to it that you can renew it, you can sand and finish it, you can change it with a decor. My goodness, man. And I think this one word has just caught people. That they did a great marketing job on this with talking about them being waterproof, when they're absolutely not. So yeah, man. I mean, to me, I know. Yeah, we've talked about this before, but I think this is not only is it bad for people's health, it's bad for our industry, for anybody that installs hardwood floors, sand and finishes hardwood floors, and makes their living off the hardwood flooring industry.
It's
So
people from outside of our industry destroying our industry. I think that's what really ticks me off.
yeah,
This isn't being made by wood floor manufacturers. It's not being made by mills and things like that. It's coming from the outside. They're plucking our chickens here. It drives me nuts.
and for a lot of guys, it looks like it's easy money. Is the lure of this? It's easy money. But I just hope people are educating the consumer, because in the end, I mean, I think it's better for all of us. Um,
I think somebody needs to educate the builders because I think I think they're the real culprit here because I think a lot of this is going in new construction
mhm.
because it's quick, it's easy, it looks okay, it saves them money, saves the builder money, and the homeowners, I definitely agree with you. The homeowners need to be educated on it. But, when they're walking through a new house and it goes, yeah, we use these new waterproof floors. Oh boy, everybody's like, oh, that's great.
Mhm.
So you're right. We have to get to the homeowner, but we also have to get to the builder because just like that commercial you read there about the Camp Lejeune, they're the ones who are going to be on the hook for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And most every builder you see right now that's fallen in love with this product, it's really it's driven by profits and what have you, and it's not driven by the responsible thing to do. So and we're are we being hard on this? Damn right we are. We are being hard on it, I'm trying to stand up for the industry and for the guys in it, and you are. I mean, when I say we are, Rob and I.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you throwing me
Yeah,
throwing me
yeah,
that bone.
yeah, yes.
I thank you.
Well,
I know sometimes you forget I'm on the show.
I do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
all right.
yeah. They talk about how much VOCs these products have too, Rob. They're recommending when you install these that you're opening doors and windows to keep the room well ventilated. If you have respiratory issues and you wear a mask while while you're installing this because it discharges so many VOCs. I mean, for heaven's sakes, man.
The crazy thing is where everything, I mean, think of everything that you and I do every day, how much of it revolves around eco-friendly, sustainability, all that stuff. I mean, that's all we talk about during the schools. All your adhesive products, they're always safer and better and everything for the environment, for the homeowner. And now this is taking over our industry.
Here's what I don't understand. Um, for a while there, and especially you go to a lot of restaurants, you say, "Oh, we don't use plastic straws anymore. Plastic straws, are bad for the environment."
Right. Yeah.
And they don't even sniff how much plastic straws are out there compared to these type of floors. It's not even on the same radar screen. So
Oh my God, I can't wait to go in a restaurant that hands me a paper floor and I'm walking on an LVP. Really?
Yeah, yeah,
You're doing us
yeah,
all a
yeah.
favor, are you?
Yeah. Look at my kid here trying to eat, and he's off gassing in front of me.
Right. His feet are melting right in front of us. It is the most non-eco-friendly product out there,
Hmm.
and it's just taken over like gangbusters.
Yeah,
The wood floor, really, it's on us. It really is.
yeah.
It's on our contractors. It's on, anybody whose livelihood is in the wood floor business. Believe me when I tell you, okay? There's a reason that I work for Bona and I'm not in the bowling business anymore. And that was one of the big reasons. And man, they just dangled that money carrot right in front of us. And, my family is as guilty as anybody of jumping on that, ripping out wood lanes all over the place, reinstalling synthetic. And after about 8 years, in the bowling industry, like I said, I worked on lanes that my great grandfather built. We had that customer, you know, that was our customer. You just had a list of customers that every year you were either doing a full sand or recoat or repairs or whatever. You were in there every single year. Well, after 8 years of synthetics, we lost about 70% of our customer base. And I remember, we were looking at the summer book one day and we're like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Usually it's like we're starting by April. It wasn't until like June that we were starting to get in, but we, how do they say that? We cut our nose off to spite our face or whatever, but we went for that money. We went for the money grab, doing all these synthetics, and completely wiped ourselves out. And I just don't want to see that happen a second time in my lifetime.
And I think the time is that's the urgency to me, is that is we need to save our industry here. We really need to look at that. I mean, there's enough challenges out there as it is. I mean, if you look at retailers, and I'll tell you, if retail doesn't figure out the challenge pretty soon of labor, in 5 years there won't be any more retail stores. I mean, so if everybody keeps taking a blind eye towards this and looking the other direction, and I think the industry is going to be hurting for it. There also, when we got done installing a floor, even the pre-finished floor, I'm a sand and finish guy, as you are too, Rob. But so when you get done at the end of the day, you've installed, sanded the floor, finished the floor, or even a pre-finished floor, and you're done with that install, and you stand back and look at it, it took a craftsman to do that. You know what I mean? You can look back and say, not a lot of guys can do this. And these type of floors, like, anybody can put these floors down. It doesn't take I mean, I'm not knocking whatever, but a whole lot easier to put one of these floors down as far as technically than a real floor, right?
Mm.
So and if you look at repairability of these floors, lots of luck for the homeowner trying to repair one of these floors down the road.
There is no repairability. It's
Yeah.
replace.
Yeah.
It's replace. That document that you had sent me, and I looked up some more stuff about what we're going to talk about today. I had no idea how bad these things were in sunlight.
You could always call me.
I'd rather figure this stuff out on my own,
There you
as
go.
much as I like to call you.
Hmm.
But the one article I was reading, they were saying to tell your homeowner, yeah, if you got sunlight, make sure you put carpet there, put your big furniture over in that area, move things around so the sunlight doesn't really hit these floors. I was like, you got to be, where are these people living? I mean, so many of the jobs that we run into now are all windows, tons of sunlight. Who's living in these caves now where there's no sunlight?
Yeah. Anywhere you're living in the South, anywhere you got exposure to the light hitting a certain part of your house, right? You know what I mean? It can be wreak havoc on these type of floors. And you ever see any of these floors shrink lengthwise? I've seen some brutal shrinkage on these floors, lengthwise.
Really?
Yes. We have a friend of ours that they bought the house, and she asked me, "What can you do with these floors?" And I started laughing. I mean, it was hideous looking.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah. So
Oh,
yep. So sunlight is not a friend with these type of products. a lot of inconsistency in the quality too, depending on what brand you choose. I mean, there's some of the quality out there is just brutal. And then you're trying to match them later down the road and everything, and you can't repair a plank, like not like a, a hardwood floor where you could repair one of the planks and do, chase the grain or whatever, and there's no repairing these planks. So, I don't know, man. I just think there needs to be a sense of urgency around these, and I wish one of the organizations would get behind this more. And really, I don't know why the flooring industry doesn't put our message out there. And I'll tell you what, if I was one of the big wood flooring manufacturers, I would get together with the rest of them and say, look, we better put a message out, and we better start having a backbone and start fighting back, because you're letting it get away from you. And you guys, I would think they would want to lead the charge on this. If you put everybody together, all of them together, everybody put in a certain amount of money and then do their own advertising, I think would make a hell of a lot of sense to me.
My God, yeah. I mean, especially just what you said, the mills. Why the mills aren't all, I'm hoping somebody from the mill just heard what I said when I was walking around that distributor last week thinking, holy crap, where's the wood?
And for mills that are saying, well, we'll just get in this game as well and offer one of these as well, I think you're also kind of cutting your throat.
You're too late. You're too late. It's, well, like you said, most of the stuff is coming from someplace in Indonesia, Asia, where they just don't have the same guidelines that we have over here. But, all they have to do, to me, is simple. Everything now, it's all we hear about is the environment. Everything is the environment, right? That's all we hear. Wind and solar, environment, recycling, the whole deal. These floors are very hard to recycle. It's not like a plastic milk jug that you can recycle and use again. These things are poison. So you can't recycle poison. It's very difficult to recycle these floors. Come 10, 12 years down the road, when all this stuff starts getting ripped out, they're not sure what they're going to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I don't know what
all these wood mills, I mean, they got to be feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be feeling it. I mean, we're, deep down, we're floor sanders. So there's going to be a lot of wood floors to sand out there. But every time we put one of these in, you're just crossing off another house, You're just crossing off another bowling alley. Trust me, believe me when I say this. I mean, it absolutely destroyed our family business with the synthetics. And man, I see this. Of course, it's a much larger scale. Well, the bowling industry was a much smaller industry that got hit by this, but and it wiped us out in less than 10 years.
It's a lesson. It absolutely is a lesson for what could happen to our industry. No question about it. And frankly, I don't care. You see them in high-end homes, but when I walk in and see one of these now, this just doesn't do anything for me. You know what I mean? Talking about adding value to the home, it just doesn't really.
There is no way that this can add value to the home.
No.
No way.
No. They kind of cheapen. Especially when you see a new home and it has these type of floors. To me, it's an indication of cheapness. Then I started looking around about the cabinets now. Well, where else did they cheap out? Because it was quick and they could get it done. You know what I mean? And so then you go in the bathroom and you go to the towel rack and you yank that off the wall, just to prove a point.
So this is what you spend your time doing, going around looking at new homes,
looking at homes, looking at the walls,
looking at homes, seeing if you can yank the towel rack off.
Yeah, carry marbles with me so I can say this floor's out of level. Pull the baseboard off the wall.
Those are the days it's raining and you can't go fishing.
Yeah.
You need something to do.
Yep. So I don't know, man. Rob, you and I are on the same page with this. It's frightening to us for a lot of reasons. One, that, like you said, I mean, it's a threat to our livelihood, I think, and it would kill off a damn good industry that with damn good hardworking people. That the message is sustainability. The message is so. It's just a great industry to work in that could go by the wayside with this cheap crap. And then once they realize what it is, and then all the issues come around it, there's not going to be any guys left to make a difference in the hardwood flooring industry. So there you go.
There you go.
So here's another article. Researchers have found that children living in homes with vinyl flooring and sulfur treated with retardant chemicals show increased levels of certain toxin chemicals. These chemicals have been associated with serious health issues, including respiratory problems, neurological problems for kids, skin irritation, and cancer. Parental warning, harmful chemicals in vinyl floors.
Isn't that weird that they found this though in the kid's urine?
Yeah, it's weird.
They found that in the kid's urine.
Why are two dummies like us out here talking about it, nobody else is? You know what I mean? I feel like, what was that Nader guy? Remember him? Ralph Nader?
Ralph Nader?
Mm-hmm. Was exposing all kinds of stuff. We are the 60 Minutes now of investigative. We're going to be investigative journalists when we're done with this.
Do you know Ralph Nader worked for my grandparents?
You're kidding.
Swear to God.
Worked for him or investigated them? Your parents?
Ralph Nader worked for my grandparents.
You're like an onion. Every day something more interesting comes out about you.
My grandparents owned a very small bowling alley in Harvard Square. It was a 12-lane bowling alley downstairs, Harvard Square. Ralph Nader went to Harvard. He was working at my grandparents' bowling alley. I remember my grandmother, because we were talking a long time ago, talking about he was running for president, and she went out and got his pay stubs. She hung on to his pay stubs from, had to be in the 50s. Yep. And she goes, that is the Ralph Nader. He worked for us. He was from Connecticut. And one day, he's looking at my grandfather and he goes, this is the most unbelievable business I've ever seen. He said, you just walk away with piles of cash every single day and you don't put anything out there, right? Nader, he's going to Harvard.
Yeah.
So everything he looks at is business. And my grandfather's like, what are you talking about? I got to pay for the lights, for this, for that. He goes, look it, Mr. Johnson, my family's in the restaurant business. Okay. And we charge so much for a plate of food, but we have to still pay for the heat, the lights and everything. And we have to pay for all that food. We pay, we prepare, we do all that, and then we sell it. He goes, you just sit here, flip a switch, and collect money.
And you're good. That's a good point.
He said that he said Nader couldn't wrap his head around it because he was the guy working the register, right? He was the one, right? He goes, even the shoes, you get the shoes back. You give them the same pair of shoes, they give us 50 cents. You keep giving the same shoes back to people.
That is a trip.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
My grandmother saying, "Oh, Robbie, he was a thinker. He was always writing, scribbling stuff. He was a thinker." And he goes, this whole business drove him crazy.
Wow. That's a trip. All right, Rob. Well, I don't think we have much more to add to this. I just
we're talking about Ralph Nader. We're really showing our age.
Yeah. You know what I think I would do though if I was estimating a job and the homeowner wanted one of these floors? I'd just say, listen to the podcast. Listen to the podcast. If you still want one of the floors, then I don't know what to tell you, but I just think that there's not a lot of education out there to the clients, and it's a disservice. And I wonder how many people would actually choose those floors. We go in a store and say, I want that floor, if they knew really what is out there about these floors.
All one person has to do is what I did when we were getting ready for the show. I Googled issues with LVP flooring. I just Googled it. There are hundreds and hundreds, and they're from all sorts of different. It would be one thing if we read this story. Oh, it's from the National Wood Floor, right? If a homeowner said, "Oh, well, yeah, that story's from the National Wood Floor Association." You know where I got a lot of today's stuff? WebMD.
Wow.
WebMD was talking about how bad this stuff is for you.
Well, let me ask you this. So some people will say to themselves, all right, well, we're young, it's our starter home. So, let me ask you, Rob, how long did you live in your starter home?
I'm still living in my starter home, actually.
I lived in mine for 30 years.
Yeah. My 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 starter home is now a retirement castle.
Yeah, yes. So when people say, oh, hardwood floors is too expensive, look at the real cost and it'll be pennies a day versus that type of product. And
My house was built in the 50s.
wow.
My house was built back in the 50s. I sanded it. No, I've sanded it twice, and I've been here for 30 years.
Wow.
Close to 30 years I've been here.
That's amazing.
You know what's amazing too? One day I told Bum, I go, measure the board. We were talking about my floors, right? It's clear red oak. It wouldn't be considered select. It's clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about it one day, and I said, you want to take a laugh? I go, measure some of the board lengths.
Yeah. 12 feet.
12, 14, somewhere
Yeah.
the length of the room.
Mm-hmm.
Then he really started looking around, and then he was losing. He's like, there's no butt joints. I go, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy how long the boards are here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was built in the 50s, I'm looking at floors that are 70-something years old right now that are in absolute mint condition.
Oh, I mean, how many times have you seen
mint?
Yeah. How many times have you seen floors that are, 70, 80 years old when you sand them, they look better than the day they were put in?
Right.
How many?
Most of them.
Yeah. So,
here's another one. Okay? My 70-year-old floors. Rebecca moved out. Pauline goes, geez, let's turn her bedroom into my office. Can you do white floors? I said, look at, of course I can do white floors.
Yeah.
I'm Rob Johnson.
Absolutely.
I'm Rob freaking Johnson.
Yeah.
3 coats of Nordic Seal on 70-year-old floors. Looks like a brand new floor. Sand it, 3 coats of Nordic, couple coats of traffic. Beautiful. Yeah.
You like the gray stains that are in right now? You could do a gray stain. Turn your floor into a gray stain floor. You're sick of the red. What's this, Rob? You like the white oak? The floors are out there. You're sick of the red oak look you got in your floor? Want to red out? You can get rid of the red. All right, there's a good place to end it.
There you go.
So this has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. Please stay tuned for another episode.